PEELY is missing, and after searching the whole of the island, I found his last known location. His disappearance isn't as simple as it seems. We first found out that PEELY had disappeared when Jonesy found a note that was given to him saying, "We have your banana," at the beginning of chapter 5. Anyone that owns the PEELY skin when going to their locker will see a missing PEELY icon instead. The first time this has ever happened to any skin in Fortnite. And as I'm sure you've seen, all over the island are missing PEELY posters. Within this huge hunt to actually find where PEELY has gone, there are two different factions currently existing on the Chapter 5 island that we need to understand. The first one is called the Underground and is led by Hope, who's actually with Jonesy when he finds the message about the missing PEELY, and she's leading this faction in the fight against the Society. The second faction that's on the island, who's led by Valeria, who's actually Hope's sister. That's right, these two sisters head up the two factions on the island. All of the bosses that contain mythic weapons and medallions currently on the island sit within the Society, and any one of the Society members could currently be holding PEELY on the island. And Hope has agreed to help Jones try and find PEELY, as she suspects that the Society the ones behind his disappearance. If you go up to the Jones NPC as the Valeria skin, he'll say to you, where's PEELY? What have you done with him? Well, that's what we're going to be finding out today. The most logical place to go and find PEELY would of course be Valeria's base at Reckless Railway. But in searching this entire POI, there is no clues or hints as to PEELY's location at all, which means the Society are being clever. And there's several more locations that we need to look into for PEELY's disappearance. Before we do that, it's really important to understand how one of Fortnite's most popular characters could be the real reason behind PEELY's disappearance, and it's none other than Midas. Many people thought Midas had died when he got eaten by a shark all the way back in Chapter 2, Season 3. It was later confirmed by Donald Mustard that that version of Midas was just a snapshot, a duplicate of Midas, and the real version still lives on and is waiting to return. PEELY originates as one of Midas's agents from back in Chapter 2, so it's obvious that Midas and PEELY have a connection from way back in the day. Except Midas isn't too happy with Jonesy. If we look back at Midas's big live event where he built a literal device to try and push back the storm forever, Jones was working for the Imagined Order back then, and the Imagined Order managed to stop Midas's plan, meaning the device did not successfully push back the storm. And since then, Midas has always wanted to get revenge on the Imagined Order, and more specifically Jones himself, so has actually helped the Society kidnap PEELY, take him away and hide him on the island, simply to lure in Jones, who he knew would come after PEELY eventually, making the perfect return for Midas to get his revenge. And the hints for him coming back are actually everywhere. There's a specific island on the Chapter 5 map right now. It is filled with Chapter 2 props, like covered in items that were only from the Chapter 2 world, which is obviously a big enough hint in itself, but there's so much more. The golden doors that close on Midas and all of his other agents in the Chapter 2 Season 2 trailer can actually be found on the island. This is for the very first time, by the way, at Grand Glacier, one of the most obvious nods as to Midas actually making a return. And let's not forget about his literal marigold yacht that is now on the island. A lot of people don't know this exists. If you don't properly explore the island, this ship is literally back again. Yeah, it's been taken over by the Society and looks a little bit different, but this is his original yacht. And during the Chapter 5 cinematic, where Jones actually finds the message saying, "We have your banana," Midas's Imagined Order file can actually be found on the floor. The last time we saw this file was actually during the device event, which is years and years ago. There's a reason they're bringing all of these things back. And this feels a little bit cheaty to tell you, but there's actually an in-game file for the return of the Floor is Lava limited time mode, which is called Midas Presents Floor is Lava, which means we pretty much 100% know that Midas is coming back now, making this theory behind the disappearance of PEELY even more legitimate. And it seems like potentially the Society and Midas are working a little bit closer than we actually thought, as the leader, Valeria, has actually got a book that shows drawings of something very similar to Midas's device, meaning these two could be working in collaboration to try and create another device to push back the storm yet again, just like he tried in Chapter 2. And one of the most obvious ones when you actually think about it is the actual Society logo itself. I mean, it's literally two golden hands and an eye, just like Midas's golden eye, and the fact that his body can actually turn things to gold. So we now understand why PEELY is missing, why he's actually an important part of a far bigger story that's developing on the island right now. We've already explored Reckless Railways, where Valeria is on the island, but there's all the other bosses, and more specifically, bosses' loading screens to take a closer look at to actually understand what's been going on with PEELY and where he is right now. Starting off with Oscar, in his loading screen, we can literally see PEELY behind him tied up. Oscar is on the phone to Jones. It looks like they're trying to negotiate, and Oscar is probably having none of it, and Jones is getting really, really mad. This appears to be the first point on the island of PEELY's known location. He's tied up. He's just been captured. So if we head over to Oscar's base, surely we're going to find him here, still tied up and captured. As we explore the entirety of his very lavish lair, we can't find an exact spot that seems to show where PEELY is until we get to this room here. It's the closest match to the loading screen, showing where PEELY once was, but quite obviously PEELY is not there right now, which means he has moved locations. Looking closer at Montague and his loading screen, we can't find PEELY here, but we can see the revealing of the Giant Society logo with a description saying, "I present my vision for the island's future, the Society." Montague may have actually originally been the founder of the Society, although he's not the leader of it anymore. He's playing a big part of his faction's history, but currently hasn't shown any interest in PEELY himself. Until we go to Nisha's loading screen. And here we can see that he is yet again tied up, or was tied up, and is holding a giant Flowberry frizz, just spraying it everywhere as if it's a bottle of champagne. Nisha is literally face palming, and all the guards around him just seem to be annoyed. I think it's safe to say that PEELY was probably one of the easiest characters ever to try and kidnap and lock down, and he's not really putting up much of a fight to try and escape. So let's head over to Fencing Fields, where Nisha is held. And again, if we look around and find this exact spot on the Fortnite map, there is no signs of PEELY currently being there right now. This means yet again PEELY has moved on. Now we looked all over Valeria's POI, but her actual loading screen is giving us more hints as to potentially why PEELY's being kidnapped. We can literally see Agent Jones in the background on her screens. We can see the 0 point, proving that the 0 point is still here, although we haven't seen it yet in Chapter 5. It is always existing if one of the Fortnite maps is existing. And most importantly, a very special chest in the center of her screen, and also on the book that she's looking at, which could potentially be the chest or some sort of loot that Jones is currently holding that Valeria wants from him, which is why everyone is capturing PEELY. Ultimately, if Midas, Valeria, if anyone captures PEELY and draws Jonesy in, they can then capture Jones and get what they want from him. Poor PEELY's just been used as bait at this point. But look, I promised to tell you guys where PEELY last was, and I've done even more digging. And this cannot be found in any loading screens, as PEELY is constantly being moved around. The Society are smart. They're not going to keep him in one place for us to find nice and easily. We've still got a lot more of Chapter 5 to go. So I ended up looking at Peter Griffin's POI. Yeah, of all places, Peter Griffin on the island. In Snooty Steps, I found a little bit of a secret passage. If we head inside this house and then see these boxes, which we walk around and then head on downstairs, this door right here contains PEELY's last known location. If we head on inside and take a look, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final remains of PEELY as we know him right now. In this room right here, Peter Griffin was kept him hostage on this chair with only a bed and a few boughs to keep him alive, which means two things. Either PEELY is dead, and this literal peel is the last thing that remains of him, or more than likely, this is a clue left here by PEELY to let us know that he is still alive. He is still on the island. His location has been changed yet again, and I'll be keeping my eyes peeled as Chapter 5 continues and more information gets released about where PEELY is, so make sure you subscribe to not miss out on anything. And click on screen here to check out the world's first look at Nick A30's Fortnite locker, including some incredibly rare skins and items. So click on here and I'll see you on another video.